So I wanted to use the word finally, because I think that's how most of us are feeling tonight. It's about time. But we don't have time for a 7-point message, too many letters in that word. So instead, I picked a word that to me really captures this moment, and that is the word best. Because to me, looking at you both represents God at his best. And I feel like what God has done here is God at his best. And what we're celebrating tonight is God at his best. Both of you have had opportunities along the way to settle, good opportunities, but you had a vision that was, of course, blurry at times and frustrating to wait on at times, but you have been patient. And because you have, we're all the beneficiaries. We're here tonight to celebrate this moment and really a life-changing truth that when we wait on God's best, we're never disappointed. And so I was thinking about the first miracle that Jesus ever performed, because for 30 years he lived kind of in the shadows. And then, there's one circumstance that prompts him to let the cat out of the bag and basically say, all right, guys, I think you should know I'm God. And it was a wedding that prompted that. He was at a wedding, and the wedding was about to tank. They ran out of wine. And so Jesus turned ordinary water into remarkable wine. And it was so extraordinary that the organizer of the ceremony went to the groom and said, man, this is amazing. Most people bring out the good stuff first, and then when everybody's wasted, they bring out the cheap stuff later. But not you. You have saved the best to last. And I feel like that's what God has done here through you guys, is he has saved the best until last. That's what Jesus does. For some reason, he decided to save this moment for a while. And you guys honorably saved yourselves for this moment. And because of that, this is God at his best. And none of us can deny that when we allow God to do what he wants to do, when he wants to do it, it's always the best. And so I really want to just speak that one word over you guys tonight. I believe you're going to have a marriage that's not going to be good. It is going to be the best. And it's going to continue as a picture to everyone who sees you and everyone who knows you of God at his best. What he can do when he brings two people together his way. And so be encouraged, Kyle, because you and I both know that the Cavs never will be the best. Probably. But your marriage can be the best. And so I hope that encourages you tonight. And Christy, the Cavs are a basketball team. You're going to have to learn that kind of stuff. So when you're thinking of the word best, when you think of the letter B, I want you to think of the word bond. This is a celebration of the bond of matrimony, and to bond two people together is to join them together, to connect them together. It's a carpentry term. A mason will take bricks and lay them together and then glue them together with a cohesive that is strong and that is enduring. And tonight, Jesus is bonding the two of you together with a love that is going to be so cohesive. Your marriage is going to thrive, and it is going to stand larger and grander than the most magnificent building in the most magnificent city of the world. And I love this definition of just real biblical love in the Song of Songs, chapter 8. Set me as a seal upon your heart, as a seal upon your arm, for love is as strong as death, jealousy is fierce as the grave. Its flashes are flashes of fire, the very flame of the Lord. Many waters cannot quench love, neither can floods drown it. So you can take love, real biblical love, covenant love, and soak it, try to drown it, try to extinguish it, but you can't. It's impossible. It's an inextinguishable flame. And so life is going to get crazy, but waters of busyness cannot overcome this bond, this love. And affections will be tested, but waters of temptation cannot overcome this love. And crisis will come, but waters of tragedy cannot overcome this love. Symptoms will appear, but waters of sickness will never wear down this love. Your marriage is going to have a stunning invincibility to it. I really believe that. And so what you're starting tonight is not a contract. You are both entering into a spiritual covenant. And Kyle, Jesus is taking you and he is bonding you together with Christy. And Christy, Jesus is taking you and bonding you together with Kyle. And the two of you are becoming one, and it's God at his best. And then, when you think of the letter E in best, I want you to remember to encourage each other. So remember that word encouragement. What you appreciate, appreciates. And when you're intentional about encouraging each other, you will pull the best out of each other. And so I was thinking about this. There's a unique moment that happens in the Bible in Acts chapter 4 where we meet a guy named Joseph who became a really influential guy in the history of the early church. But we don't know him by the name Joseph. We know him by his new name, Barnabas. And he was given a new name. Barnabas literally means son of encouragement. And the reason for the name change was, I think, the apostles and the church leaders were kind of watching this guy, the way he interacted with people, the way he invested in people, and they were blown away. And so the idea was, if Mr. Encouragement met Mrs. Encouragement, and Mr. Encouragement and Mrs. Encouragement got together and had a family and had a kid and imparted all of their encouragement DNA into one kid, that would be Barnabas, son of encouragement. And that to me captures this union right here, because, come on everybody, Paul Hamlin was Mr. Encouragement. I never was around a more encouraging person in my life. He always saw the best in me. If you had never met me, and all you had done, if you had never heard me preach, never seen me putt, never watched me shoot a basketball, and you just talked to Paul Hamlin, he would have convinced you that I was Billy Graham in the pulpit, Tiger Woods on the golf course, and LeBron James on the basketball court. That's the guy he was. I mean, you didn't spend 5 minutes with Paul Hamlin without feeling better about yourself. And Stephanie, you are to me Mrs. Encouragement. I still have a letter that you wrote me probably 8 years ago when we were at Church of the King in my office that I pull out and read, and it has spoken life to me for almost a decade now. And so, Paul Hamlin and Stephanie Hamlin got together, Mr. Encouragement and Mrs. Encouragement got together, and out came Christy Hamlin, daughter of encouragement, and you have your mom and dad's spirit. And Kyle, I haven't got to know your parents as long, but even in just getting to know you, Mr. and Mrs. Dukes, this weekend, I can sense that same spirit, that same legacy, and I know that it lives in you, Kyle. And so when you guys start having kids, watch out, world. Wow. That kid is going to be the most popular kid in school, no doubt about it. But I can't overstate the importance of encouragement in a marriage. Criticism makes a home toxic. Encouragement makes it life-giving. And so I just want to challenge you tonight, become great at seeing the best in each other, believing the best about each other, speaking the best over each other, and pulling the best out of each other. And as you do, your marriage is going to be the best. And when you think of the letter S in best, I want you to think of the word submit. I think that's what makes Christian marriage so unique. So many relationships deteriorate because they turn into a power struggle. Who's right, who's wrong, who's going to win, who's going to get their way, and we're all wired to want to have things go our own way. But there is such joy that comes when we're free from the terrible obsession of having to have everything go our own way. And that's why Jesus says to us, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. And submission just means that I voluntarily limit what I might naturally do in a relationship in order to benefit you. So if you have the power at a particular moment in the relationship, you, instead of doing what comes naturally and using that power to benefit yourself, you use it to serve the other person. And if you're the one who's being overpowered potentially in a situation, instead of resisting the whole way and fighting the whole way and pushing back the whole way, you respect and you submit in that, and you do what comes perhaps unnaturally to serve the other person. And it's so powerful as it happens. There's just something that's triggered in the other person, and it invites the presence of God and the blessing of God into a relationship, into a marriage. And, honestly, when you look at that command in Ephesians 5, what Paul asked the husband to do is the harder part. It's the more radical part. Wives in the first century were expected to submit. But he asks the husband to die. And that's our privilege, Kyle, to die to ourselves. You get to die to yourself so that Christy can have everything that she needs. And I encourage you guys to live out that life out of reverence for Christ. That's why we do it. Reverence is awe-inspired love and amazement. And the only way we can do it is to be amazed at Jesus. When we're amazed at his humility, that he, being in very nature God, surrendered all of his rights as God to come and grow human skin and give up his rights so that he could come and bring us life. It's amazing. And when you're amazed at him, you walk humbly in this relationship. You submit out of worship to Him, out of reverence to Him. And it's the best. And then when you think of the letter T, I want you just to remember to trust God radically. I think faith is the ability to trust God when you don't understand God. And no matter how hard we try to understand God, there will always be gaps where we don't understand His timing, we don't understand His ways, and that's when we trust His heart. And so, like He said to Abraham, there are moments, He comes to Abraham and says, I want you to leave your home and your family and everything you know and are comfortable with, and go, and I'll tell you later where you're going. And there is this, one of the things that inspires me the most, I think, about you guys, is you both have this childlike ability to just take God at His word and trust Him. Whether He's saying, move from this city that has come to be home, or leave this comfortable job, or whatever it is He may be speaking in the moment, you guys just say yes. In fact, I told you, I think last time we were hanging out, I was a little worried about the two of you. Because most people in a relationship, there's one who just radically trusts God and is risk-taking, and one who's just the voice of reason, but you guys both are radically trusting God. I think if God said, I want you to be missionaries to outer space. Yes. I've always wanted to live in outer space. But I'm not worried anymore because I'm excited for you, because there is, like Abraham, a promised land in front of you guys, a dream that is so vivid in the mind and heart of God that you've only seen pieces of so far. And I don't know what it is, but I know what it's going to take. And it's going to take radical, childlike trust to just say, yes, God. Yes, God. And you guys have that spirit. And so what I'm expecting to see is the best. And just to leave you with this final thought, that this is all possible because God gave you His best. And I want to say that to everybody who's gathered here. When we look at a love that has this formula, it's so countercultural, to submit and speak life rather than criticize, and trust, and all of these different dynamics are so countercultural. The only way you can love like this is because you are loved like this. God gave you His best. The only Son He had. The only Son He has. And because He did that, Scripture says it this way, we love because He first loved us. I don't know if you've ever gone grocery shopping when you were hungry. That's a bad idea. You're throwing everything in the cart when you're grocery shopping and you're hungry. Oh, that looks good, that looks good, that looks good. Because you're hungry, and it's stuff you wouldn't even like normally, but you're throwing it in because you're hungry. And when we are looking for relationships, when we're actually starving for love ourselves, hungry for love ourselves, we're going to make poor decisions, we're going to compromise, we're going to settle, we're going to wind up disappointed. And so what you and I need if we're going to love like this is to be loved by someone who doesn't need us, and that's God, who has given you His best. His best. And He came and He walked in your shoes so that He could die in your place and come back from the dead in order to forgive you. And I want you to know that. It's one of the biggest myths, I think, that we hear is that good people go to heaven. Good people don't go to heaven. Forgiven people go to heaven. And because of Jesus, God wants to do something so real in your life that we've all seen happen in Kyle and Christy's life. And if you want to experience in your future the best that God has for you, you need to go all in with God. Like Kyle and Christy have gone all in with God. And we're all so proud of you guys. And so, Kyle and Christy, before God in this congregation, I ask you to affirm your willingness to enter the covenant of marriage and to share all the joys and sorrows of this new relationship, whatever the future holds. You can turn and face each other. And Kyle, go ahead and repeat after me. Kyle, will you have Christy to be your... Don't repeat after me, but you don't want to say it.